Over 1,600 laps, 41 hours of racing, 9 rounds and 4 classes in just one series. It's European style with American attitude. A look back at the year past in the American Le Mans Series is next on Speed. Hello and welcome to the year in racing for the American Le Mans Series. I'm Lee Diffie. 2003 had all the ingredients to be a memorable season for many reasons. The champion Audi squad had plenty to prove against the awesome Yost Audi team, while in prototype 675, Rob Dyson was salivating at the opportunity to take on the big boys with his fragile but fast Lola MGs. Corvette and Ferrari was the fight everyone wanted to see in GTS, while even before a wheel was turned, Alex Job's 2 Porsche 911s were the pace setters in GT. As usual, the season kicked off with the traditional 12 hours of Sebring, and after an absence of more than 70 years, Le Mans winners Bentley came back to race on American soil for a special one-off with 2 all-new closed cockpit prototypes. But both would have to start from the rear of the field due to having their qualifying times disallowed due to technical infractions. 12 hours would, however, shake it all out. Let's get ready to roll. Sebring is just seconds away. Wheeler on the pole and his old teammate Emanuele Pirro right alongside. Here they come onto the main straight. Fred Schwab from Porsche waves the green flag as the Grand Marshal. And here we go. And look at this. The Dyson car is on pit road. James Weaver shaking his head. That's our P675 class front runner, but no longer. We have a new race leader. It is the ADT champion Audi of Emanuele Pirro, 3-time Le Mans 24-hour winner, and he starts to work his way through the GT cars as well, and he has left Frank Wheeler. Meanwhile, this is the other Dyson Lola MG limping back to the pits with a flat right rear. First one, now the other, both for 16 and 20 in trouble. Here we go, the battle is on. Look at this, the Velox ProDrive Ferrari, and this is what we're going to be talking about all day. The Ferrari versus the Corvette, a great scrap. First Bentley in, here we go. They got up to 4th and 5th from 51st and 52nd. First stop for the number 7, Tom Christensen in the car. Race leader in, Emanuele Pirro. Whoa! That is close. There's almost an accident down in pit lane with the Conrad Motorsport Saleen. He's taken out one of the marker cones. Boy, that was a scary moment for Emanuele Pirro. Oh, Frank Wheeler has a real hard go at Emanuele Pirro. Look at this, one side, then the other. This is down the back straight, heading towards Sunset Bend, shaking his head, pulls out of the draft. Look at this, he's trying every which way. Meanwhile, here's the battle for GTS. Lead, it is Corvette. Ferrari, it continues.
Oh boy. Got off on the left side, then off on the right, and center punch that GT Porsche.
Yes, down here, just looking at this right front suspension now, I can't see any damage, but the bodywork is quite extensive, more than I thought at first, but this is taking quite a while, as you can see.
This is for position. Christensen looks to the inside. Have a look at this.
There's a lot of traffic here. He's going to get alongside.
And he's there.
Got him.
Great stuff.
Look at Salo. He's fighting back.
Maul him and grab him. Whoa.
Problem for the number 4 GTS class-leading Corvette.
We believe, guys, that there's a problem with the gearbox. Oliver Gavin behind the wheel. I just moved to Gary Price, and we think the gearbox is broken.
Race leader is in.
That's right, Bob, he is in, and it's going to be a driver change. This should be the last driver change. That means Johansson is going to be the one responsible for winning this race after 10.5 hours. He'll make the stop here, but then you've got to wonder about Werner. He's been in for a while, and he's on old tires. He could be worn out. It could be, after all the strategy the champion played, could be the driver change that ends up making the difference in this race.
Now time is definitely working against Stefan Johansson as he tries to run down the German. What a moment for Marco Werner. This checkered flag will make his career, as well as that of Philip Peter, as they join Frank Wheeler as a Sebring winner for Reinhold Jost.
The Bentleys that showed so much promise managed 3rd and 4th overall. Despite problems for the sister car, Ron Fellows, Johnny O'Connell and Frank Freon brought their Corvette C5R home in 8th overall and took the GTS class win. GT went to Alex Job Racing with Sasha Masson and Lucas Luer behind the wheel. It was Luer's 4th consecutive Sebring GT victory, something no other driver has ever achieved. Dyson Racing claimed their first Sebring win ever in P675, and as usual, after the 12 hours, emotions were high in Victory Circle, especially for the Audi marque, which won the overall race for the 4th consecutive year.
I mean, America is a good place for me. First time in Daytona I win, and now I had the first time here in Sebring and I can win the race. But it's from the team to make a good strategy, good job from the team, a good car from Audi. Thank you guys, thank you.
Team did a brilliant job, and it was really worth to come here. You know, it was 1 week hard work, but finally we made it. It was pretty close all the day, but I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was our race. I mean, we had it in the bag. I don't know what happened in the end. I don't even want to discuss it really.
We had one hell of a week, and our guys, I think they got about 4 hours sleep all week, and it's just terrific. It's great to come down here and get the result for the team, and I'm ecstatic. I didn't take any chances in that last stint, but Didier and Chad, all the boys, Max, congratulations to Mr. Smith. I know he wanted this one, so we're very happy.
Man, you gotta, tip your hats to Frank and of course Ron. We've enjoyed great success together, and it's bad luck for the 4 car, but it's like Doug Feehan, our boss, always tells us. That's why you run 2 cars in case one happens to have bad luck. But man, it is sweet. There's nothing like driving a Chevrolet at Sebring.
4 times in a row, no, it's pretty impressive. I'm really happy, and I didn't expect it, before the race. I just said, you just go for the race. And the race is okay, you can win 4 times in a row. No, I did it, and I'm really happy.
Stick around, plenty more of the 2003 American Le Mans Series year-end racing to come, including a few surprises. After the traditional break in the schedule for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the American Le Mans Series was back in action in June. The 2003 calendar initially had events slated for Mexico City and Washington, D.C., but after numerous issues, both were cancelled. So, acting quickly to fill the void, the series opted for a second, shortened event at Road Atlanta just 2 weeks after the French Classic, which meant teams didn't have much time to prepare. Once they arrived in Georgia, James Weaver sat on the pole after qualifying was rained out. And while it didn't count as an official ALMS pole position, the Dyson team was thrilled at setting the top speed earlier in the weekend with the smaller, less powerful P675 car. But could they keep the pace once the green fell?
And the green flag waves, and we're underway at Road Atlanta.
Boy, and that almost looked like rubbing right there, the Yost car and Dyson's car. Look at the champion going around the outside of Yost. A spectacular, risky move right at the drop of the green flag. Now, talking of a fierce battle, look at this. Corvette is leading over the Olive Garden Ferrari. How long has it been since we have seen that green Ferrari run so well? Coming down the hill, the very fast section of track, he gets a terrific run when the leader got blocked slightly. Look at this, JJ just slots up the outside, holds his braking as late as possible, and gets cleanly by into turn 1. Oh, Ferrari spin. Wow. Just tried to get under throttle a little too early. Now let's see how he's going to turn it around here. Let's see if he does a little quick boot. Yeah, good bootleg.
This has turned out to be a time when there's been a lot of pit stop action. He's underway. It was only fuel and no tires for the 38.
Oh, man, and what a massive advantage. I'll tell you how important that is, that Leda was leaving the pit lane right now, and he is right behind the 16. He virtually has lapped him because of that pit stop.
Danica Patrick is just about to make her debut, but the car's not firing immediately. Danica tries again to get it fired. The car must leave under its own power. You cannot push start it.
Problem with the left rear here. The wheel gun is stuck. Lost several seconds there on the left rear wheel change.
Well, major play going on right here, because remember, the champion car did not change tires. Leda has been driving the car extremely smoothly. So the amount of time that they have gained is enormous.
And
after changing drivers, Johnny O'Connell took over the 3 car and problems instantly for him. A cut down left rear tire.
Ollie Gavin is staying in, so he's got a hard stint here, double stinting in these close cockpit cars with temperatures around 170 degrees. Is very tough. He's a tough young man from England.
Oh
man.
Boy. It almost changed for Lucas, didn't it?
Wow.
Can they get this driver change with Johnny Herbert getting in the car and get the tire changes and get out there without the Yost car taking the lead? Let's go to Calvin, the other Audi's in.
They just went for those last few drops of fuel. It shouldn't be a full load, actually. They typically can go about an hour. They need about 50 minutes of gas, I believe, right now. And I think they've okayed the tires. It'll be fuel only. As long as this fires up, we've got a race on our hands, boys. Leader in 675 is in, and now there's a problem. They can't fire this engine back up.
Here he comes to the checkered flag. Johnny Herbert has won the Chevy Grand Prix of Road Atlanta.
Excellent. There we go.
Finishing third, Duncan Dayton and John Field won P675, claiming their highest overall finish in the ALMS. While in GT, Porsche took their 12th series win in a row with a 1-2 finish for Alex Job Racing. GTS honours again went to Corvette, but this time it was Ollie Gavin and Kelly Collins. But after coming so close so many times, the champion team scored a huge overall win, their first ever in ALMS competition. It was also the first victory for the pairing of JJ Leto and Johnny Herbert.
You know, everything went very smoothly. We didn't get any cautions, which helped. But it's the crew, you know, they haven't had a victory, and it's nice to, you know, it's not nice to be able to give it to him. And this guy did a brilliant mega job at the beginning, and that made my job a lot easier.
The season was just 2 races old, and although both races were won by Audi, it was obvious Yost were not going to run away with the Prototype 900 Championship in '03. One of the scarier moments of the year happened at Infineon Raceway in California when Duncan Dayton clouted the Porsche of Leo Hendry in qualifying. Both drivers were okay, but the tub on the prototype was damaged beyond repair. Intersport Racing was therefore forced to withdraw from the weekend. And it couldn't have happened at a worse time, as the series was about to swing into a stretch of 5 races in 7 weeks. Again, a 675 prototype took the pole, but this time the front row was swept by Dyson Racing, and the mighty Audi teams were out for revenge.
Green flag is in the air. Here we go. And JJ Leto once again gets around the outside of the Yost Audi going up into turn 1.
Ron Fellows trying to come to the back of the field. Remember, they didn't qualify very well. Had to line up back around 27th position today. Fellows in car number 3, already up to 15, so he's gobbled up 12 cars in just the first handful of laps. 2 laps on the board.
But watch this outside move, getting through very, very heavy traffic here. You see Andy just sliding up there. Look at JJ starting right around the outside again. Like Road Atlanta, he took that outside line.
JJ Leto really on the move. Battling for the lead in GTS. Here comes the Ferrari Magnussen right behind Ollie Gavin.
I don't think he's going to rattle Ollie, but he's not going to bump him either. It's not quite NASCAR. Oh, and he lost it way early.
He was on the throttle very hard. Lucky he didn't hit anything.
Oh, I guarantee you this heart rate's about 400 right there, because that's a 120-mile-an-hour corner.
Now watch Jan Magnussen in the team car, the 80. They're second in GTS.
Man, Jan.
It's Weaver in the white and blue.
Look at the Porsche.
That's the PK Sport Porsche from Great Britain on Pirelli's, the 60 car. And this will also play to James Weaver's benefit, certainly. He will be able to close up again on Marco Werner for the upcoming restart.
Look at the setup here. He takes advantage of the extremely good braking of the lighter car. The Yost Audi moved as far over as possible, almost touching. James was not to be intimidated. Beautiful.
And all of a sudden, Marco Werner has turned up the wick in the Yost Audi, and he's closed right back up on Weaver. The 2 Corvettes are running 1-2. In fact, Ron Fellows is leading now, and Bill Adam, that's a tremendous accomplishment. They started 27th after those qualifying problems.
Yep. Patience paid off.
And in the GT category, Lucas Luhr did get by Timo Bernhard. Boy, there'll be a lot of stories told at dinner tonight with this bunch.
Look at Timo.
Luhr in the 23 is leading. First time ever that a 675 prototype is going to score an overall victory. Now he's been, and there is the checkered flag for James Weaver and the Dyson Racing team.
Well done, Chaz. Thank you very much indeed.
Great battle for third meantime as they come to the line. Johnny Herbert trying to get by Aberlin. Oh, and there's contact. Aberlin held up by a left car.
Yeah, Johnny tried to go around the outside. I think that was incidental. That is not to be held against Herbert. He made a brilliant move right there. Billy Aberlin just barely touched him.
Alberlin got picked off. He's going to try him, and Alberlin hits Herbert after the checkered flag.
What on
Alberlin drilled Herbert on the back end after they took the checkered flag. He thought he had a chance.
So the Yost Audi finishes second overall but gets the class win. Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell defied all the odds and drove from 27th on the grid for the GTS win. And the GT war continued with Sasha Masson and Lucas Luhr taking the honours this time. But what a feat by Dyson Racing with a 675 car taking the pole and the outright win. Despite making ALMS history, James Weaver was his usual cool, unaffected self afterwards.
Yeah, the Yost guys were very quick, as always, and our car was very quick from 7 back to 11, but we were struggling a bit in the traffic, and got a couple of bad breaks near the end, then a couple of lucky breaks, so that's motor racing.
It was an historic victory and one that the fans and Dyson Racing will never forget. So would this trend of upsets continue? The tight and twisty streets of Quebec would be up next. Stick around. The 2003 ALMS Year in Racing continues in a moment. Just a week after the shootout in Sonoma, California, ALMS teams prepared to battle again on the tight streets of Trois-Rivières in Quebec, Canada. With the tub damage from the practice crash a week earlier, John Field and Duncan Dayton would piece together their P675 lower, creating what would later be affectionately known as the Junkyard Dog. It was really a crowd favourite. But the big story going into this weekend lie in the 900 prototype class. The Yost Audis had lost 2 races in a row, and to make matters worse, in their first test session, Marco Werner wrecked the R8. The team would get the car repaired, but it looked like the unthinkable of losing 3 straight could become a reality. Germany versus Finland on the front row. Here we go. Round 4 of the American Le Mans Series is underway, and look at on the inside. The Dyson car dives there, but it is the Yost Audi that takes the lead. Marco Werner, then JJ Lehto as they head into turn 2. Down in the arch. That's a brave spot.
That's a really brave spot. That is, oh boy, there's a burst of smoke right there too.
And the 3-car Ron Fellows, he gets by the 80. The Brabham-Magnussen combination as it's very busy out there.
Man, oh man.
That's not what Dyson Racing wanted to see, the 20 car being pushed behind the wall. And I can tell you that John Field has been the best in the traffic. That's for sure, because he started 31st and last, and John now runs 9th. Wow. Sensational progress.
Look in the back.
That's David Brabham. Brabham is in trouble. Brabham is in trouble right when he was with Ron Fellows. He was really starting to up the ante in that battle there, and Butch is in problems. Butch has got trouble. Butch Leitzinger, the leader in 675, the race winner, the outright race winner from a week ago, stationary on the circuit.
38 cars in, we expect it to be fuel only. JJ Lehto showing no signs of getting out. Cars are at the ready, but the Michelin guys believe they can double stint these and possibly stretch it to go the whole distance, 3 hours. Clean stop for the champion team.
Well, this could turn out to have huge implications.
And back on the GT scene, Lucas Luhr has taken over from Sasha Masson, sits 8th overall, top of GT.
And look at the other
close. Now Johnny O'Connell sweeps around the outside, side by side, the Corvettes down the front straight. O'Connell will have the preferred line down into turn 1. Will Kelly settle? Does. Yeah. Johnny goes through.
Well, JJ Lehto has about 4 minutes before he has to pit. There's the driver maximum rule in terms of how much distance they can run, and it's 2 hours 15 minutes here, and they're rapidly approaching now. The champion team are praying for a yellow now.
Well, there was a yellow flag that put a big dent in the champion Audi, their run. But today it's Yost, it's Biela, it's Werner. They win at Trois-Rivières. And poor old Ron Fellows was held up at his pit stop. Gavin gets the win, and Collins. That's only Gavin. So with the help of a well-timed yellow, Werner and Biela avoid losing 3 races straight. A great effort by John Field to take the 675 win after having to virtually start from scratch after Sonoma. In GTS, Oliver Gavin and Kelly Collins, driving the Corvette C5R, claimed their 2nd victory of the season, and Lucas Luhr and Sasha Masson dominated, finishing 3 laps ahead of the 2nd place GT car. At just about the halfway point of the season, the P900 points couldn't have been any closer. And while they missed a race, strong drives and a little luck as the Intersport squad tied for the 675-point lead. GTS was nothing but Corvette teammates, while in GT, the dynamic duo of Sasha Masson and Lucas Luhr had a comfortable lead. Welcome back to the 2003 ALMS Year in Racing. August saw a two-race Canadian swing for the American Le Mans Series, and the championship made its annual visit to Mosport International Raceway near Toronto. With 4 races down and 5 to go, the pressure was firmly on. The Ferrari 360 had finished on the GT podium in the last 2 races, and the Dyson team had again caused an upset by sweeping the front row of the grid with their P675 Lolas. But it wasn't all good news. Chris Dyson wouldn't start from the front of the grid.
He did have a problem. He had a braking problem coming down into the hairpin, trying to decelerate from 150 miles an hour down to about 60. Did not get the car slowed and punched the left front corner to the tire wall. They will start the race, but from pit lane.
Here we go into turn 1. Glad you're with us.
Well, look at Yost trying to get up the inside. I think Dyson car got a great start. Oh, contact too.
Kurt Wagner, who's one of the great GT racers in the country, big slide through the grass into the tire wall. Kurt seems to be okay, but take a look at the right front corner of that.
It's completely gone.
Oh no! One of the Corvettes is off and into the tire barrier. Second time today. As they say, he who hesitates is lost. Here's Leto again, picking off Bila behind one of the GT Ferraris.
A perfect setup coming down turn 2.
This is your GT leader, the 24, Jörg Bergmeister. Timo Bernhard will drive that car later. No trouble for the Cycle Motorsports Porsche in GT. The 52 car has gone off the racetrack and whacked the barrier pretty hard.
I can't believe that's even moving again.
50 minutes to go. Brabham and Cox in the 2 Pro Drive Ferraris, running 7th and 8th, 2nd and 3rd at GTS. 7 seconds the gap now up front between the 2 Audis. Marco Werner in the Yost Infineon Audi is the overall leader. Johnny Herbert running 2nd in the ADT champion car after a very slow pit stop a moment ago.
Yeah, and this is something that all of the 50,000 people that are here today have come to see. I mean, this is setting up for a perfect finish. That 2 of the most highly technologically developed race cars in the world, both driven by brilliant, talented drivers. So, yeah, look at Werner. Not good. He didn't fall for it. That's smart on Werner's part.
But Herbert trying to sneak to the inside, little bump there perhaps.
He hit him. Johnny definitely hit him.
Now in GT, a little further back, the leader continues to be Timo Bernhard in car number 24. The Alex Jones with Kenna Mail to Web Porsche. Bernhard finished 6th here a year ago. Here's Herbert up on a GT machine, one of the Buckler cars. Over the rumble strip.
Oh, unthinkable. Johnny turned in way too tight. He broke that himself, and that in turn scared the Porsche spinning into the outside.
Yes, and there's major suspension damage. The top A-arm is crunched. They are bringing some new parts now. There is no question this will cost him a chance at winning the race.
Here comes Warner. He'll be the overall winner and claim 900 prototype honors. So the Yost team scores the win at Mosport overall. For GTS honors, O'Connell closes the door in the vet. Here they come to the stripe. And Johnny O'Connell in car number 3 wins GTS.
So a costly error for the champion team sees Werner and Bila again take the overall win. But what a finish in GTS. Corvette took the victory, but only just. Ferrari did a wonderful job.
We had the best pit stop, and once I got out in front, I was able to hold a gap. Goodyear gave us great tires, and once again, the CompuAir Corvette. And, Ron Fellows and I in Canada, I think I need to get dual citizenship or something, because we have such great luck here, and it's a good team here.
With only a week before the teams would again be in action, who would be ready for the 4-mile monster in Elkhart Lake? The Year in Racing continues in a minute. Welcome back to the Year in Racing. 5 races into the 2003 American Le Mans Series, and Corvette had won all the races in GTS. At Road America, the trend looked to continue when Ollie Gavin recorded a 4th record-setting GTS pole, despite new rule changes that restricted the Corvette's engine power. But make no mistake, the Ferraris were coming on strong. For the first time ever, they would run traction control. Meanwhile, the 675 Lola of Dyson Racing would continue to prove pesky, qualifying on the outside of the front row. Underway, and the Dyson car gets the jump. Leipzig, a nice get-go. Lucas Luhr, you're riding with Lucas. Your Bergmeister up ahead.
Whoa. I mean, boy, and a great job here to avoid his teammate. He was expected to come out full throttle out of the straight.
New race leader, he has got by. Marco Werner now leads the way, and Butch Leitzing is caught in traffic, so too Johnny Herbert.
There's Herbert now on the outside, so he will too drop in behind Leitzing.
And David Salins, look at Salins, one way, then the other, switches outside, inside. David Salins in that Panos, incidentally after the damage last weekend. Oh, no! Contact between Salins and Leitzinger. Down into turn 5. And Leitzinger scrapes the ball and comes to
I hit the wall very hard out of the race.
He has been penalised for taking Butch Leitzinger out of this race. A stop and go plus a 1-minute penalty. What about this guy? Chris Dyson, after the car failing to start initially, starting from the back of the pack, is now running 3rd overall.
Down here in the champion pit, Johnny Herbert will stay in the car. It doesn't look like they'll put tires on this machine either. They checked rear pressure in the left rear. They're going to fuel it. He's down, he's gone.
Good work from champion.
They got the lead.
Is this the race they've been waiting for? Yes, it is.
Wait, it's stuck. It's in gear.
Oh, look at this. The 4th. And that is Kelly Collins who's beached it. Come on, no, the car's gone. That's the 3rd place GT car, and it looks like the day is done. The 24 car had it earlier in the weekend. As a precautionary measure, they changed both gearboxes for the 24 and the 23, and now it has struck the 23 in the race. That hands the class lead over to the Peterson White Lightning car.
Look at this GTS battle. Magnus now right on the tail of O'Connell.
The Corvette
he's going to do the inside.
Ferrari. He's got him. He's got Johnny O on the inside. Oh, yeah!
Oh, I don't know. Somehow he missed. He's got him. He's got him.
Magnussen, can he hold it? He does. Runs wide on turn 1, but he gets through. So a change of lead in GTS. Now can O'Connell respond? And JJ Lado, an ADT champion Audi, they win for the 2nd time in 2003. They take the fight back to Yost. Ferrari get the victory, the first one in 2003.
I had to push so hard to try and make up the gap to Johnny, the Corvette. So when I finally got there, I saw the white flag and I said, I'm going to have one move regardless. I'm not here for points anymore, so it's just win. So I'm going to have one mega move somewhere. And it worked at the end of the straight. It's great.
Yeah, I'm really pleased for everyone, for the whole team. They've worked so hard. We were a little bit fortunate, to be honest. Johnny here didn't take me off, which I'm eternally grateful for. And I'm just so pleased with the Peterson and the White Lightning crew. They did a superb job preparing the car. And we got a little bit lucky, but we were 2nd from pretty early on. Craig did a fantastic job. Just really nice to get a win finally.
So terrific drives all round in Elkhart Lake. Chris Dyson got the job done once again in 675. Champion, meanwhile, took their 2nd overall win of the year. But it's that battle in GTS and Ferrari breaking the Corvette juggernaut that people were talking about. Stick around, more from the ALMS Year in Racing coming up. This is the 2003 Year in Racing American Le Mans style. With the season winding down, the series made its traditional stop at the daunting 11-turn Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And with the other 3 classes still wide open, the GT title was on the line.
One team not able to take the starting green flag here today. One of the 2 Panoses yesterday in final practice had problems with the corkscrew. The Audi brakes first as they come to the green.
Boy, really a surprise there. He almost laid back deliberately to try and jump the start, and in fact, he got away with it. I'm surprised they dropped it. Oh, a lot of tires pulled.
Heavily on the brakes down into turn 2. Some contact in there. We've got a couple of cars around. The number 20, the Dyson car off in the sand.
There's the GT battle. There's 1 Ferrari, 2 Ferraris, and then that Corvette. That's the Ron Fellows, Johnny O'Connell Corvette. Wow, the lead car right off the track.
Many other teams have had some drama, including the ADT champion Audi. Broke a transmission.
And this is really unthinkable. There were apparently reports of noise coming from the transmission. There's Johnny, you see, gets out of the car, a little bit of frustration. But watch this in a moment as the crew changed the entire rear end. Watch the body language of JJ Leto.
Meantime, one of the GTS Ferraris, one of the Pro Drive cars, looks like the 80 with David Brabham went off there at turn 4, turn 5, trying to get by the 4 car. 3 wide as they come to turn 11. Marco Werner navigates by the 2 Racers Group cars. All 3 of them nose to tail.
A little longer on pit road. But with brand new tires, JJ Leto should be flying out there. Wow, 40-second stop for the champion team.
Boy, oh boy, and right down the inside of Shane Lewis and that number 63. It looks like a case of 2 cars trying to fit through only enough space for 1.
Oh no, one of the Panos is the Panos. Yeah, the GT. Foster's 03 car off into the dirt. Checkered flag flag is in the air. Marco Werner and Frank Vila win the Fry's Electronic Sports Car Championships.
So a dominating win by the Yost Audi. In winning the GT class, Alex Job Racing co-drivers Lucas Luhr and Sasha Masson became the first GT driver co-champions for a second year running.
Sasha and we did a great race. The car was absolutely perfect. And I think we won the championship today, and that's 2 races to go and still champion, so that's pretty good.
We really wanted to challenge the Audis. And, you know, we seem to have the pace, but just the way the race unfolded and a couple little breaks didn't work out for us. So, you know, it just wasn't our weekend. But it was a good sign because the car ran very well and we were able to keep up with them and, you know, challenge them a little bit. So, you know, for the rest of the year, we should be looking pretty good.
So 2 races to go. How would the championship shake out? The streets of Miami would be a major factor. The temporary circuit on the streets of Miami was host to round 8 of the 2003 American Le Mans Series. The bumpy surface and traffic for drivers was tricky at best. First, John Field had a big hit in qualifying, severely damaging his Lola yet again. The team would get the junkyard dog back together in time for the race. But for Kelly Collins, it was a similar story with a harsher outcome. In the warm-up, Collins crashed hard. The damage was so comprehensive, he and Ollie Gavin would not start the race. And that meant that the GTS driver's title would be clinched, with Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell merely starting the race. But how would the teams deal with a tight, tricky track? Here we go, the Grand Prix Americas for 2003. It's only the second time on the streets of Miami for the ALMS Series, and we are away. Great start from pole man JJ Lato. This is a huge battle of egos here between these 2 teams. Oh no. My God. What a shame.
So it's Lato jumping out, Johnny Herbert going in, and unless they get a lot of caution. Whoa, there's a big fire here. Big moment here. Johnny Herbert is getting back out of the car, I believe. We're trying to see through the smoke here, and that was a scary moment. Now they're probably trying to get back in.
In GT, the newly crowned champion leads the way. Sasha Masson in the car now. He recently took over from Lucas Luhr. We heard from Lucas with Andrew. They're running strong. And look at this. We've got a one-on-one fight now. Yost has been able to, Frank Vila has been able to weave his way through the traffic. And now it's a one-on-one fight, just like we had at the beginning of the race. Trouble for the newly crowned GTS champion, Johnny O'Connell. The sister car went out early this morning and did not even start the race. And now Johnny O has obviously crunched the wall pretty hard.
Oh, that is a huge impact. I wonder if he's got the... Oh, and he's spinning in his own oil.
Indeed, the 23 and the 24 on pit road. And the quick change drivers had a bit of a problem with Lucas Luhr's car. I thought he was going to get out first, but just wasn't quite quick enough. So still Timo Bernard's car leads.
I think that's the real critical part right now, that Vila may only be 7 or 8 seconds behind on the track, but trying to get through this traffic while Johnny has a clean lap ahead of him is vital at this stage.
Oh no! That's Bergmeister. The lead GT car has thrown it away. Is it a flat right, flat left rear?
No, I think it's okay.
Pit now for tires. But the suspension is broke.
Oh, no.
Tommy Dreesy has spun in a very precarious position. Oh, Enganilli hit him. Enganilli came in contact with Tommy Dreesy. Oh!
Wow, Tommy. Oh, no, and there's another contact.
As the rain sprinkles down here on the streets of Miami, it's James Weaver still in pit lane. Less than 5 minutes to run here, but I tell you what,
look at the battery.
Final stint has been incredible. The champion team, the ADT champion team, celebrate. Herbert and Lato win here in Miami. Despite the fire, it was win number 3 for the champion Audi team, and they denied Vila and Werner a record-tying 6th Prototype 900 victory. Heartbreak for the Dyson Lola of James Weaver and Butch Leitzinger, but their sister car claimed the 675 win. And in GTS, Ferrari cars took not only the win, but the top 3 spots in class, a first in ALMS history. Miami also saw Olivier Beretta and David Salen set a new record for the Panos mark, recording their 5th consecutive ALMS podium finish. But for race winners Johnny Herbert and JJ Lato, stretching the fuel to the finish was a huge gamble, as they told our Calvin Fish.
Johnny Herbert, you pulled one literally out of the fire today, mate. What a drive.
It literally was out of the fire. And hit the frying pan.
You knew when you got in the car, you had 2 hours to go. Did you think there's any way you could make on fuel?
Well, obviously you hope and expect what we got, which is a lot of cautions, which is something that they've got to go your way. And luckily this year they did, and with a great partner here, he was on fire today.
He was. He did a great job. And JJ, you didn't need the anger management even. I was going to get close there at the end, though.
Really, you know, the anger management is gone. You know, it really works well. And you know, it's just. I mean, I did the first 50 minutes, and Tony did the last almost 2 hours. So I really thought that we have to come in in the end and just get a splash and dash. But you know, it was luckily we got some yellows, and it started to rain, and you know, it was slowing down, you know, quite a lot. So the car is really empty. I mean, there's no fuel left.
So with 1 round to go, things were a little more comfortable, but not quite settled yet in P900 or 675. But in GTS and GT, the fight was over. All that would be left in the season then would be the 10 hours or 1,000 miles. The Year in Racing looks at the Petit Le Mans next. The final stop on the 2003 ALMS calendar was the 10 hours or 1,000 miles of the Petit Le Mans. The autumn endurance race has quickly become a classic that produces edge-of-your-seat action. The Petit Le Mans is underway, and it's James Weaver who gets a blinding start. Sensational stuff from Weaver in the Dyson.
And look at Leto. He's trying that outside move. He did not make it that time. Remember back earlier this year, he got an outside pass going up turn 1. JJ tried it again.
He's got to go around the outside into turn 2 down into the S's. Boy, that was a brave old move. And James Weaver jumped the flag there. Something horrible, but I mean, all power to him.
If James Weaver has been told by his team to drop back on the instructions of the officials, if he hadn't have done that, they would have made him do a stop-and-go penalty, so he's decided just to do it on the track. It was for jumping the start.
Oh, he just spun.
Oh, it's one of the Job cars.
Yes.
And that, I think it was the 23 at a guess, because it was running behind the 24. And we were just talking so much about Team Raffinelli. Emanuele Naspetti has had major problems out there.
Certainly done a lot of damage to the car.
Oh, boy.
That's really pretty much shot their day. The suspension seems to be all right.
They do, in fact, have to get a door mounted on that car.
Oh, no, can you believe it? Beeler is off. Frank Beeler smashes the R8 Audi into the concrete wall.
Chad Block, co-driving with Chris Dyson, who hopes for the LMP 675 title, spun off of turn 3, and as you can see, hit the car heavily in the rear, but he did get it back around. These Audis are very high-tech, as we've discussed, and you have to go through a very specific and somewhat complex procedure, clearing the computers and so forth that control this twin-turbo engine.
Well, they did change the battery, and they're putting the panel back in. JJ gave it the thumbs up like he might have power again, but what amazing me is these holes in these fenders, guys. Completely torn out the top part of this bodywork, and that will surely affect the downforce a little bit.
The Yost Audi #1 is back in 3rd overall, 7 laps down on JJ Leto out in front, but Frank is on the move and is poised to get his first American Le Mans Series driver's crown, and he will share that with Marco Werner.
Whoa,
he's run off again.
again.
On the other side of the circuit, but in exactly the same place, and that was a lucky escape once again for Frank Beeler.
Just as we said everything was running smooth once again, maybe a similar situation to the champion car about an hour and a half ago. Marco Werner went to refire this thing, no life whatsoever.
It's still Ferrari, Corvette, and that is still just enough for Corvette to clinch the manufacturer's title. All important that Oliver Gavin and his co-drivers stay in that 3rd position or better.
Within 1 lap of the lap he needed to complete to make sure he had 70% of the distance done, Werner slid off the racetrack into a gravel trap. His team was on the pit wall waiting for him to come around to start high-fiving.
With the number 20, the Dyson Lawler AER, just when the day was tough enough, another challenge is thrown at potentially this year's 675 class champion, young Chris Dyson, on the verge of that title, but he is not quite there yet.
There was a little brake fire, and if they'd noticed it, it would have stayed a little brake fire. Now it's getting to be quite a large brake fire.
Well, They did not get the Drivers' Championship, but they will have the last laugh and the last say. ADT champion Audi, JJ Lato and Johnny Herbert win at Road Atlanta and give the team reason to celebrate. Well done, guys.
Well, you know, the car lasted the whole 1,000 miles, but suddenly the throttle stuck in the end.
Oh, dear.
It's unbelievable, you know, but luckily, you know, it stuck after the finish line.
Is this one of your best victories?
Well, it's definitely one of the good ones, you know. It's I have been missing this Atlanta 10 hours, and, you know, it's just, you know, we have been trying to get it so hard for so many times, and, you know, Champion Racing was doing a really good job today. You know, we had the best car, we led all the way to the race, you know, and we didn't have any problems, you know. It was just a fantastic result. I'm really happy for myself as well.
Yeah, you know, it's great to win the race. Unfortunately, we lost out the championship to Chris. Congratulations to him and all the Dyson guys. It's been a long, hard fought battle all year long, and we didn't make it easier on ourselves, but we kept fighting, and just a big thanks to all our crew for working so hard all year.
So for those who won the Petit Le Mans, it was a victory to savour, even if they didn't win the championship. After a long and hard season, here's how the ALMS Class champions line up. Yost Audi takes the top category. Chris Dyson really made a name for himself this year by winning the 675 class. And GTS saw crowd favourites Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell on top, with Sasha Masson and Lucas Luer taking back-to-back GT titles.
Today's headline could be they tried everything to lose the championship, you know. I mean, it was an unbelievable race. I think all the years in my career I never had such a stupid race, and it was really tough. I mean, in the end I really thought there's something which tries to avoid us winning the championship, you know. I mean, I crashed in after, I don't know, 2 hours, and I went off again. Then we had this battery problem, so it was unbelievable. But finally we made it, and I'm very happy that I won the championship, or we won the championship.
While 2003 saw veterans continue to dominate, it also saw fresh faces who will be the stars of the future. Marco Werner was the revelation of the series, and young Chris Dyson proved second-generation drivers can be just as successful as their dads.
We worked hard all year this year, and today was really a good result for the team. We made it a little bit more exciting than I would have liked, but, you know, really this team has worked so hard to get this car where it is today, and Goodyear and all of our partners have just been such great help to work with. I couldn't be happier.
And how can we forget David Salins, who left a lasting impression on all ALMS fans with his brutal speed, and so too Orbit Racing's Mark Lee. Next year's ALMS schedule again has 9 events, but looks slightly different. Trois Rivières and Miami have been dropped in favour of a first-ever event on Independence Day weekend at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. And after a 2-year absence, the series returns to Portland, Oregon in July. Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California also becomes the season finale with a new style 4-hour event. So there's lots of excitement on the horizon for 2004. In GTS, we'll see a factory Ferrari and expect to see some changes at Corvette as well. We could also see a BMW back in GT. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm Lee Diffie, thanks for joining us, and see you at America's oldest sports car race, the 52nd annual Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring in Florida. You can catch it live here on Speed, March 20th. So long.